What do you do for a Mother's Day special on a podcast? Well, it can look like a lot of things, and you've heard a lot of these episodes before. Thank you stories, all the right things to say, maybe even some flowers get shipped. Okay. But this episode of Always Pneumatic, Never Static, this one's a little different. Because today isn't just about celebrating moms, it's about understanding them. It's about the things you don't see, the late nights, the early mornings, the constant balancing act between work and home, and the quiet moments when these moms are just trying to figure out if they're getting it all right. And in one case, it's about growing up watching all of that happen, watching a mother hold down a family while a company was being built, and then stepping into that world yourself and carrying it forward. We had some laughs in this episode, I won't lie to you. But I'll be very honest with you when I say this conversation got even more real than I expected it to. Because when you start talking about motherhood, you're not just talking about a role. You're talking about an identity, sacrifice, pride, and sometimes fear. So today, we're sitting down with three incredible moms from Bulk and Spur. Andrea McClung, Rachel Della Pasta, and Kelly Turnmeyer join us today on the show to talk about what it really takes to be a mom in the trucking industry.
You're listening to Always Pneumatic, Never Static, the totally pressurized podcast brought to you by Bulk Transit, where we keep the lines clear, the tanks empty, and the conversation anything but dry. Whether you're running powder, pellets, or anything in between, pull up a seat, crack the windows, and let's hit it.
How's it going out there, Bulk and Spur? Welcome into Always Pneumatic, Never Static, episode 13. And dare I say, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. My mom included, my sister included as well. A very happy Mother's Day going out to every mother out there from the Always Pneumatic, Never Static crew. And this is an exciting day for me, okay? I'm going to tell you why, but let me get to the homework first. You know it's coming. You know I'm going to say it. Let's just get it out of the way so we can forget about it and move on. Podcast.bulktransit.com is the website. That's where you want to go to get in touch with me, but that's also where you want to go to take the quizzes that we have. Each episode comes with a quiz, and you can test your mettle up there. You never know. Sooner or later, we're going to be doing another giveaway that will coincide with these quizzes. We've already given away 2 really nice cooling vests on this show. We will do that again here in the future at some point in time. I'm not exactly sure when yet, and to be honest with you, it's not 100% my decision. So just get on to that website, podcast.bulktransit.com, and start practicing. You'll start to understand the way we get these questions out of each episode, and then you'll start to get better at them. And hey, maybe that retention thing will even get a little bit better. Look, I'm 41 years old. I don't remember what I had for dinner last night, so I get it. Sometimes retention is a little tough, and I'm not talking about Rachel's job. That's a completely different ballgame. But go on there, take the quizzes. Every single episode that we have produced and will produce will be on podcast.bulktransit.com. So if you don't want to go to Spotify, Apple Music, all the rest of these platforms, all you have to do is bookmark that website, and you can go there 5 a.m. local time every Wednesday for a brand new hour of content from Always Pneumatic, Never Static. And I say an hour of content. Sometimes we don't get to fit it all within an hour because we're talking about important stuff on this show. And today's episode might be the hallmark for that, because today we're talking about moms. And the Mother's Day episodes that I've done, just a little background for you guys. Now, I've been making podcasts for truck drivers. I think maybe I've said this before. It's going on about 4 years now. I've probably got 300 plus episodes under my belt. And a lot of the Mother's Day episodes that we end up doing sound the same. We don't get a lot of mothers that really are too excited about banging the drum for mothers. And it stinks, because what I always get is a bunch of male drivers that want to come in and do shout outs to their moms on these other podcasts. I shouldn't have said it stinks. That doesn't stink. Those are always really cool episodes, and they're really fun. And we've actually featured some moms before, but it's been few and far between. This episode gets to be different, and I'm so excited for it, because today we're welcoming 3 moms that work at Bulk and Spur. And that means you're going to get to know a little bit about what it's actually like to be a mom in the trucking industry. And that's really what I was aiming for this episode. I'll be honest with you. I know that we all love our moms. We know that. That's not something that's lost on any of us, okay? If you ask, take a random sampling of 10 people, say, hey, do you love your mom? You're probably going to get 9 yeses and 1 maybe, okay? Look, I love to make space for it on the podcast, but I wanted to see the real side of this from their perspective, because one thing that saying all these nice things about mom doesn't do on the podcast is show some of the sacrifices, some of the fears, some of the points of pride, some of the things that they might have been scared of over the years of raising their children. And I think that is where the real meat is for a Mother's Day episode. And we get to do that today. And I need to get the heck out of here and stop talking, because I told you earlier, hey, we'd try to fit it all in an hour. This conversation we're about to have with our 3 moms from Bulk goes for almost an hour. So I'm already over time here, and I'm happy to do it because this was such a great episode. So please, without further ado, welcome to Always Pneumatic, Never Static, our 3 moms for our Mother's Day special. Welcome back into Always Pneumatic, Never Static. I am so pumped for this episode. I'm a little bit of a mama's boy myself. I'm not going to lie to anybody. I have a great relationship with my mom. My dad and I enjoy all the same hobbies, but I'm a lot more like my mom than I am my dad. I'm emotional. I like to enjoy and feel all of the feelings, and I'm a huge dog lover. All those things come from mom. And this episode is special to me because a lot of the times the Mother's Day episodes that you will hear on a trucking podcast will sound a lot the same. Thank yous, stories. We give mom flowers. We want to tell all, how would it be if mom was in the cab with you? But today isn't that. Today is about what it actually takes to raise a family and build a company. And in one case, what it looks like to grow up inside that story and carry it forward. So please welcome our 3 mothers that are joining us here on the show today. First off, we've got HR Director and owner at Bulk and Spur, Andrea McClung. Andrea, thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, Marcus. Happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. We've got so much to dig into with your family history and the company and everything. So excited to dig into that a little bit today. And of course, I will tell you all this each individually. Happy Mother's Day from Always Pneumatic, Never Static.
Why, thank you.
Thank you.
Of course. Joining us next, you just heard her on this show last week. She was so good, we had to have her back again. That is, of course, our recruiting and retention manager, Rachel Della Pasta. Rachel, thank you so much for giving us time 2 weeks in a row.
Hey, you give me a microphone and an audience, and I love to listen to my own self-talk, so
Hey,
happy
amen.
to be here.
Amen. I love it. Happy Mother's Day to you as well, Rachel.
Thank you.
And I also have making her first appearance here on the show. And guess what? I didn't do my job because I didn't ask what terminal she was the manager for, but I've got terminal manager Kelly Cordova on the show. Kelly, welcome to the show. Thank you for making your first appearance. Please tell me what terminal you manage so that I can be good at my job today.
Hi, Marcus. I'm glad to be here. I am the terminal manager in Piketon.
Piketon, thank you so much for being here, Kelly. Happy Mother's Day to you out there in Piketon.
Thank you.
Now, I want to start off, Andrea, kind of right from the top, and I promise I'm going to wrap this whole thing around. I'll get to Rachel and Kelly here in just a moment. But Andrea, your father builds this company, but nobody builds something like this alone, and I think we all know that. What role did your mom play in the journey of Bulk and Spur becoming what it is today?
Yeah. So, obviously she was very involved. He started out, driving a truck for somebody else. So she was there supporting him while he was doing that. And then you heard the story about how he took the money from that they had saved to buy a house to actually buy a truck. So that didn't go so well for her, but she still supported him and rooted him on and obviously got over it. It all worked out. But she also did payroll in the very early days. I remember her actually processing payroll. It was actually for the Piketon terminal that Kelly is currently running. And we had a situation where we were working with another company where basically it was our trucks pulling their trailers. And so she would do that payroll, manually in-house. I just remember all the paperwork kind of laid out on our dining room table. And once a week, that's what she would be doing. And then as things had gotten kind of larger, she decided she'd be better off not in the business with Dad and just encouraging him from the sidelines.
Hey, I understand that. That can be a wise decision to make. So
Yeah.
your mom used to do payroll, so there's a certain aspect of you filling mom's shoes right now, right?
Yeah, actually, I hadn't actually thought of that. You're right.
Obviously, probably doing a little bit more here as the time has gone on, but that's one of your roles, I know. So,
Yes.
Andrea, what did you see growing up, maybe that you didn't quite understand at the time, but now you really do, about that kind of support role that your mom played in after she decided to step away from the company?
Yeah, obviously my mom's, her with my dad being such a workaholic and putting his whole life into the business, my mom really had to put us first. And she is the best mom. Like, I literally have grown up thinking if I could just be like half the mom that she was, I think I'd be doing pretty good, because like she was president of PTO. She was a soccer coach, even though she never played soccer before. Heck, I think she might have even coached the boys in baseball at one point in time. So like she was one of those moms that literally would do anything and was very involved. She had several jobs throughout my childhood as well. But really her number one job was being a mom, and she was awesome. Like, she literally raised the whole neighborhood, so she was just that mom that was super involved. And then still very much involved, like as we all had kids, then she became like, grandma of the year as well. I mean, she would take all of them to the movies by herself. So there could be anywhere from 8 to 12 of them, sometimes 14. And she would take them by herself to the movie theater. All the sporting events, she was awesome. So her role was really kind of outside the business, just making sure everything at home was safe and good to go.
That's so cool. And any grandma that can stomach taking 14 kids to the movies by herself, that's a grandma that's coached a couple of teams before. She knows how to make a troop of kids move in unison. It's so funny that you say that. My sister is a boy mom, and my sister grew up as a dancer and a cheerleader. And here she is this last year coaching Little League. I called her and I said, I've seen you throw a ball. What are you doing coaching Little League? That was a great team. She did a great job with it. I was always blown away, but that's kind of just what moms do, right, Andrea? It's see a need, fill a need.
Yep, absolutely. That's definitely the way mom was too. I think she was my Girl Scout leader, and she was the boys' Boy Scout leader at one time. I mean, when I say she was involved, she really was. And even after we graduated high school, there would be principals that would still reach out to her if they needed help with something. It was like they didn't want to let her go. She makes me look terrible as a parent, I'll be honest with you.
Hey,
I was a working mom.
that's okay. Have a high bar and reach for it every day, right? Do you think people outside your family fully understand what your mom carried during this time? I mean, like you said, your dad had to be very involved with the trucking company to get it to the level that it is today, and where it was when he passed. Is everybody kind of aware of not only the sacrifice, but the effort that your mom put in?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody can see it. Now, she would never necessarily show it. Like, she's tough. She's a tough mama. And
doesn't want the recognition.
No, you would never know that, like, honestly, until we all grew up and kind of went off to college. It was like, then she was like, who am I? I got to kind of reinvent myself. I got to find some friends. I got to do some stuff. And she's done all of that too. I mean, we all want to grow up to be her someday. So, I think she carried it very well. And she knew also that she had to do things to kind of support Dad and trying to getting him away from work a little bit, because, his stress level would get really high. And especially when something happened, something like a bad accident or something like that, that would be really hard on Dad. And so she knew that she needed to do things too to get some kind of work-life balance going for Dad. And so they had started taking us on, we would do a week in Florida every winter just to kind of get Dad away from it. And then, when I got a little older, then somehow they got the boating bug and ended up buying a houseboat on Lake Cumberland. And And with her, I mean, she just planned everything out, and it was allowed my dad to get away, about once a month or every few weeks, just for a long weekend, so we could all be together. And honestly, I don't think we would have ever even, our dad worked so hard that that's how we got to know dad. So she definitely did a lot to bring us together as a family, and then also to support dad in the business.
That's awesome. It's such a cool story. And hey, you got to take the guy out of Ohio and get him down to Florida once a year to warm his bones up, right? It's cold up there sometimes where you guys are at.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rachel, after hearing Andrea talk about that, how much of that feels familiar? You hear her talk about the juggling that her mom was doing. You told me that you are a single mom, and I would like to know how familiar that whole juggle of all of the kids and trying to take the stress off feels for you, because that's something that you do along with your 40-hour-a-week full-time job as recruiting and retention manager.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, being a mom in general is tough. And then being a single mom on top of that, being a single working mom it's a lot. It's a lot. So I can definitely understand the unique challenges and all the different responsibilities and having lots of balls in the air at all times.
Kelly, how about you? When you were listening to Andrea talk about her mom there, how familiar did all that feel to what you face day to day?
So my mom was a lot like Andrea's mom. She was involved in everything. Um, she wore so many different hats. She was going to college while she was working, and she got her degree and started teaching. And then it kind of all transitioned to a different type of environment. My mom was actually my 7th grade teacher.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was terrible. Um, and then my mom is like a math genius. I didn't get that part of her passed down rules, but I remember her sitting at the table and I would just be crying and she's like, "Why aren't you getting this?" And I'm just like, "I don't know." But so as we transitioned into that type of environment, my mom was my teacher, but she was still there, for all of the big things, and she was always the cheerleader. So then once I ended up graduating, I went to college, I had kids, and my mom kind of took over the whole babysitting role while I was going to college and working, and because I was a single mom too. And she still is in that role, and she just had a birthday in January, and she's getting to the point where she can't do those things anymore, but she's still very involved with the grandkids. She's still very involved with, me and my brother. So a lot of what Andrea said resonates with what I had as a child too.
Absolutely. Now, I want to kind of talk a little bit about the double load that you guys work as moms that are working. It's a double load. It's the same for dads. Look, I'm not taking anything away from dads here, but you'll have your month in June. We're spending time on moms right now, so get over it is all I could say to the dads out there that might be pounding their fist on the dash right now. Sorry, I said I'm a mama's boy. You're gonna catch that from me every now and then, but. Walk me through, Rachel, a day where everything is pulling from you at once. Work needs you, kids need you, we've got sports, we've got after-school activities. What does that feel like in real time, and how do you manage it?
So, it's first of all, I am very thankful that my own mom is very involved with my son. So I do have that going for me. She helps out a lot, but you get up extra early to get your child ready for school, and then you've got, the school drop-off line is always fun. And then, your kid forgot his backpack or he forgot his lunch, and then you got to go back home, and then you got to go back to the school, and then you got to get to work. And then, you're slammed all day at work and trying to get through your work day. And then you sit in traffic to get home and, cook dinner and run to sports. And, there's always a million things going on. I always like to think of kind of this analogy that I heard about, you're always going to have a million balls in the air, and you got to figure out which ones are glass and which ones are plastic, which ones are okay to drop and which ones you got to keep in the air. So that's kind of what I focus on, is not being perfect, just making sure you don't drop the glass ones.
Boy, that's a great analogy. Kelly, I got the same question for you. What's it feel like when you're going through a day where everything's pulling at you at once? Does that analogy that Rachel just brought up there resonate with you?
It does, but one thing that I learned, at, being a mom, my kids are older now, and I now have grandbabies. But one thing that I learned as a mom is you have these magic hands that come out at some point to help you juggle, everything. You don't know how you're going to get it done, but you do. And, thankfully, I had a support system that, could pick up the pieces and juggle the balls in the air that I couldn't juggle. And it's stressful. Being a mom is hard, but it's one of the most rewarding jobs you'll ever have.
It's something that we hear from every mom we've ever had on this podcast. There's not a single one of you that would ever change being a mom. Is that correct?
My kids definitely taught me patience and and forgiveness. So
Yeah. Well, that's good. Those are great lessons to learn. Andrea, I'll come back to you here. As you hear Rachel and Kelly talk about being a mom working for Bulk, obviously it's worked out for them, and probably a big part of that is the support that Bulk gives its employees. We've heard plenty of it on this podcast up to this point. But from the top down, what does that mean to you that you can see, Rachel's single mom, Kelly's got grandkids now, they're still able to manage this and work the job at the same time? How much does that mean to you as a mom yourself, and how intentional is that environment at Bulk and Spur?
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, they're both awesome moms, awesome people for sure. So, yeah, it's one of the things that is great about Bulk is that, we can have some flexibility, and, our families have to come first, and especially our children have to come first. So sometimes, sometimes Rachel needs to work from home, or sometimes Kelly needs to leave early, even though her children are adults now, but she has grandkids too. And sometimes things come up, and they have to take that priority, for sure. And, I was blessed with that flexibility when I was raising my kids as well. My husband's job was not quite as flexible. So, it is great that at Bulk Transit we can have a little bit more flexibility. I mean, there are days it is tougher than others that I know that, I knew that I would need my mom. I mean, there's no doubt. Like, I don't know how I would have gotten through it had my mom not been able to step up, because, payroll's got to get processed. And if the kids are sick on a Wednesday, I need somebody to take the kids. Otherwise, they'd be sitting here in the office with me when they were young. And I tried not to do that very often.
Yeah, I can imagine on a day that's not payroll day, maybe that's a little easier to manage, right?
Yes, exactly. And it does, listening to them, it makes me remember how that was. And boy, was it stressful, because you want to be everything to everybody, right?
Yes.
And it's just impossible to do. So Rachel's exactly right. You kind of have to pick your, the priorities and kind of just go with it and let it roll off the back, because there's going to be days you're just not going to make everybody happy.
Absolutely. And that is the quintessential, I guess, cross that moms bear. You want to be everything to everyone. And, my mom was big on telling me to pick my battles when I was a kid, because I wasn't what you would call a fighter, but I was a bit of an arguer. Weird that I would end up where I am as a career here. But, it was always for mom. She'd say, pick your battles. You're not going to be able to please everyone. And that was something that she taught me that has really stuck with me. And I want to bring this to something really real here, if we can. I want to ask each one of you, what's something that you've had to give up as a mom because of your career, or something that you've had to give up for your career because of being a mom? Andrea, I can start with you. Is there anything that sticks out to you there? Something that maybe you had to sacrifice as a mom or as a career woman to be a mom?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the biggest thing is just time. I mean, it's really you're sacrificing time. To me, it's not a sacrifice. I'd do it again in a heartbeat, but you're kind of sacrificing time. I'd started golfing before I had kids and didn't golf. I probably golfed, a handful of times and then got pregnant with Connor and literally didn't golf for another 20 years. So I gave up golf, but not a big sacrifice, and still doing it, but still not very good at it. So it was probably a good thing that I left it behind. And maybe with having a little more patience, which I can't say that I'm the most patient person in the world, but I feel like I've gained a little patience through kids over the years. But really, it's just the time. I mean, but now I have almost, now it feels like the opposite. Now sometimes I feel like I have too much time on my hands and I feel like I wish I had things to keep me busy. So
Right. Well, take it from somebody who didn't take 20 years off of golf and didn't get any better. I don't know that you missed much out there. We're still out there hitting balls into the pond every weekend without you, but we're glad to have you back whenever you do get back out there. Do you get out there and hack around a little bit now that you've got a little more time with the kids growing?
yeah, about once a week. I
Okay,
try to get out there, yeah.
That's what us fellow golfers like to hear once a week. That's great.
Yeah.
Rachel, how about for you? Same question. Anything that sticks out in your mind that you sacrificed as a mom, and maybe sacrificed isn't the right word. What Andrea said there really did kind of resonate with me. She said, I don't really look at it as a sacrifice because I do it again, time and again. Is there anything that you gave up? Maybe that's a better way to put it. Because you had to give it up as a mom because of your career, or vice versa. You had to give it up for your career because you were a mom.
Yeah, I guess the big one that sticks out in my mind, and this is a me decision. This is not like if I wanted off for these things, Andrea would absolutely understand. But doing things like going on school field trips, or taking a day off to go to their field day or whatever. I choose to skip things like that, and come to work and save my PTO, because one thing that my son and I have established is our vacations are very important to us. We do mom and son trips on a regular basis, and we love doing those. So I like to plan my time off for those things, and then kind of make the sacrifices in other ways that are not so important to my son. Like, he doesn't really care all that much if I miss field day,
Sure.
So things like that, it's a sacrifice, but there's give and take. And like I said, we make up for it on our little trips, and we love those. And again, just to reiterate, that's a personal decision. And one thing that I can say about working for Bulk Transit is Andrea is completely understanding of my home life and what I need, and in support of whatever I need to make happen in order to be successful in my career and as a mom. And so I'm very thankful to work for a company that is understanding of that.
For sure. And, I think there's another really good analogy there. You're not making these decisions because you don't want to. You get to go do something. You're making these decisions so that you get to save that PTO time to go on those trips, which are so much more impactful to your son. I have to ask you, I'm not letting you get out of here without telling me, where was the last mom and son vacation, and where's the next one?
So they're actually both the same place. We have annual passes to Universal Studios. So we go down every couple months. We stay at the Universal hotels, and we have the whole thing worked out. We are Universal experts. He is so funny. We were standing in line and this one kid said something about oh, it's been so long since we've been here. And my son was like, oh yeah, it's been really long for us too. It's been at least a couple months. He has no concept that other people do not do this.
That is
so
awesome.
Our last trip was for Mardi Gras. It's a family-friendly Mardi Gras down at Universal Studios, and that's his favorite trip that we do. And then we're gonna do one in the summer, and then we go back for Halloween as well.
Oh, how cool. Halloween at Universal Studios has got to be awesome.
Amazing.
For the little guy.
Absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Has he already picked his costume out?
No.
Okay, gotta wait.
He thinks about Halloween all year long. That's his favorite holiday.
My wife's the same way, so I totally understand that. She's gone through 3 costume iterations already, and it's April, so sure. May. It's I get that. Kelly, I wanna toss that same question to you. Anything that you've had to give up as a mom because of your career, or vice versa, that sticks out in your mind?
So I agree a lot with Andrea. A lot of it's time. Getting completely honest, I think as a mom, I gave up who I was. I kind of became the sole provider for my kids. So my role in life and everything that I needed to do, that became my goal. And that being a mom, keeping my kids safe, working, that's who I became. So
Mhm.
now that my kids are grown, I'm just learning to figure out who I am.
That's great. I'm happy for you that you're able to rediscover some old loves. Is there anything that you've rediscovered since your kids have grown that you're thinking, man, I'm glad that I got back into this?
Um, well, like I used to, before I had kids, I would spend a lot of time writing and doing poetry and things like that. And I actually have the time now to sit down and do that, regardless if it's good or bad. But um, I had an opportunity when my youngest daughter was 2 or 3. I was invited to a national conference and asked to read my poetry and things like that. So I didn't. I ended up not going. I had kids, I had obligations. That's one of the things that I turned down, as a mom. So now I can sit down and I can start writing again and doing like my poetry and stuff, and it feels good, but then I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm doing something by myself. But yeah, that's probably one of the things that I have found myself getting back into that I really do enjoy.
That's great. I'm so glad to hear that. And the other thing that I think of from a creative standpoint, you've got so much more inspiration after living the adolescent life with your kids that they did. Like you've got all this new poetry to write. I'm sure. Do you find that it's kind of just spilling out of you at this point?
Um, yeah, once I can figure out like, you know, I have to figure out what those feelings are and what those emotions are first.
Right.
Um, and then they kind of end up on paper, but um I use a lot of the things that I've gone through as a young mom and as a younger grandma, and those just seem to be continuing along in the poetry that I started writing again. So, sitting down with a cup of coffee and a notebook is my thing.
That's so cool. Well, listen, I know that what I'm about to say here is probably going to hit like a ton of bricks, and you're never obligated. But if you would ever like to come on Always Pneumatic, Never Static and read some of your poetry, I will make room for it. I'll ask Andrea right now live on the air
Yes.
because I know she would love to hear it too. So we will make room, but obviously you're not obligated. I know that would be kind of a big step. So if you're ever thinking that that's something you want to do, Kelly, Always Pneumatic, Never Static's your spot, okay? We'll make room.
I'll see what I can put together.
Hey, that's awesome. That's so
We would
cool.
love to hear that, Kelly.
I
Absolutely.
I would love it too. And the reason I asked that question, and I did say, I'm asking this because it's real. You heard a little bit of emotion come out there, and it's not because of anything other than that's just what life will do to you. It's a lot. One of the things we illustrated here over the last few minutes is there's a lot of forces pulling at a mom, especially one working a 40-hour-a-week job at once. And a lot of times that can be a really heavy thing. And Mother's Day is a great time to acknowledge those things and to say, thanks, Mom. We appreciate the sacrifice. I'll say it to my mom right now. I know if we had your kids on here right now, they would all say it as well. And I just really appreciate you sharing that emotion with us, all three of you. We want to be as real as we can on this show, and I'd say that did a pretty good job of ticking that box. So, Rachel, I want to come to you next here. Being a single mom, a lot of times what you think of is there's no safety net. There's no second set of hands. You did
Right.
mention a second set of hands that's helped out a little bit, but what does that reality actually look like on your hardest day at work? I'll take you back to our conversation last week. You've got a ton of calls to make. The market is hot. There's a lot of drivers to sift through. Everything is happening. If I made Chicken Little this, the sky is falling at work, but the sky also might be falling at home. What's that reality look like to you?
Yeah, so days like that are hard. I specifically can think of, there was one day that things were kind of crazy in general, just with life in general. And my son had called me to come get him, or the nurse had called me to come get him, and this was like uh something that he was doing like weekly. And I went in and had a conversation with Andrea, and kind of had some of that emotion come out because I didn't know what's going on with him. And I was trying to balance getting my work done and figuring out why he is wanting me to come get him from school all the time. Is it something that he's dealing with emotionally? Is it something going on at school? Like, what is going on? And so it's a struggle to balance that and figure all that out and have all of that weighing on me while I'm also trying to, be at work and talk to drivers. And you don't want to answer the phone all, down in the dumps and and
Yep.
have that come out over the phone too. So yeah, there's a lot of difficulty in situations like that.
Well, and we talked about that, kind of first impressions last week, and how you can tell sometimes if there's red flags, green flags, gray flags right off the bat. I'm sure a prospective driver calling in and getting a recruiting and retention manager that's hair is on fire also probably does some things on their side. So it's like that's not the way you want to approach your job. You can tell.
Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to call into the recruiter and have them be like, what do you want?
Right. Yeah. What's next? Who's this? Gosh, I totally get that. Andrea and Kelly, I'm going to take it to a little bit of a different place for you. I want to talk about the empty nest. That was something that I know my mom struggled with. I was the youngest child, and when I went off to college, I know it was tough on her. And I know I'm seeing my sister's boys grow up right now, and while they're only like 13 and 10, they look like they're 18 and 22, and they're going to be in a blink of an eye. And I know she's going to struggle with it when they leave the house. So let's talk a little bit about that. Andrea, I'll go to you first. You mentioned, both of you mentioned getting to rediscover some old hobbies, but was it tough that first few days, months, weeks when you didn't have any kids in the house, Andrea?
Yeah, it was a little bizarre, and I see where Kelly's coming from. You kind of have to reinvent yourself. You're like, okay, I've been mom, and you're still mom. It's not like you ever stop worrying, but yeah, I think the weirdest thing was I used to come home from work and I'd look at my husband Sean, and I'd say, Sean, do you hear that? And he'd say, no. And I'm like, exactly, quiet. Peace and quiet. And that was really fun for a little while. And then after a while, the peace and quiet, wow, it's a little deafening, honestly. And
Yeah.
then you realize we've got to do something. And that's when we started, golfing together and joined a golf club. And yeah, it's crazy. Now, our daughter went to UC for a year and a half, and so we really were empty nesters for a year and a half. But she is now back, so my empty nest is not empty anymore. But
Okay.
I love having her, and she's in nursing school here in Columbus, and our son's out in California. And I miss him a ton, and I love having Kayla with us. That I'm hoping she just stays for a little while, but still encouraging her to leave. Obviously, I know that's what I should be doing as a mom, but I do love having her at home.
Well, that nursing school on the horizon there, that's a good I guess, telltale sign that eventually she's probably going to take off, right? But that's
Pretty good chance.
yeah, that's cool. I didn't know that you had a couple kids out here on the West Coast. You said UC. I'm imagining that's University of California.
No, well, Kayla went to UC, which is University of Cincinnati.
Oh, Cincinnati. Okay.
Cincinnati,
I forget.
yeah.
See,
And
we're
then
West
Connor
Coasters,
is-
so.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I'm a West Coaster, so my UC is just a different UC. That's all there is to it. I'm
Correct.
sorry for the confusion.
Yep, she's in Cincinnati, and Connor is in LA.
Oh, okay, great. Well,
Yeah.
that's nice to get out there and visit them once in a while in sunny LA, right?
Yes, once you figure out like where to go. Like
Yes.
the first time we did it, it was not good.
Yeah.
We sat in traffic the entire time and literally got nothing done.
Yeah, Hollywood Boulevard, not what it used to be, not where I would recommend you go. That's where
No.
my wife and I stayed back in 2020, right before the world fell apart in COVID. We went down there for a Rose Bowl, and we were so excited to stay in this old historic hotel, and I was like, this does not seem like the Hollywood that they've shown me on the pictures. You know?
Exactly. A lot of it's a lie. You have to go north, go to the hills,
Yes.
go to the mountains, stay
Yeah.
outside.
Beautiful out there in Pasadena where the Rose Bowl is. Like there,
Yes,
that. Did you know that stadium sits on a golf course? Like you actually tailgate on a golf course when you go to the Rose Bowl. Did you know that, Andrea?
No, I did not know that. That is wild.
I was so upset that nobody told me that because I rolled in all my Oregon Duck gear ready for a football game, and I could have played 18 holes of golf before the game. I was so upset, but yeah, it's about finding the right places in LA for sure. Good point there. Kelly, I want to go to you with kind of the same question. Was it hard at first when the nest emptied out? You talked about rediscovering some hobbies. Obviously, that's a good thing, but were there other emotions involved? Was it just different, kind of like Andrea said, for those first few weeks or months?
I think in our situation, I agree with Andrea somewhat, but when my kids all left the nest and I walked in the door for the first time and I thought, whoa, this is nice. but your kids never stop needing you, and they never stop visiting, and they never stop, calling. My middle daughter, she'll call me on FaceTime 4 or 5 times every day. So I guess when you look at the whole empty nest thing, maybe the house is more empty, but I think our relationship has gotten a lot better. Just because I think they have realized as adults now what it did take to be a mom, and they have kids themselves, so they're seeing that. But I don't know that the empty nest thing really became a huge thing for me. Maybe for the first couple of days I was pretty devastated, but after that, but I was always on the phone with them. They were always still asking questions and needing things, and they do to this day. And then came the grandkids, so they were at the house every weekend for a while.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
So it wasn't a hard transition for me. Now the whole golfing thing for Andrea, I can't do it. I don't go hit a ball with a stick. I don't have that coordination. So good for her, but I can't do it.
Hey, you'll stick to the pin and the pad, and that's fine. That definitely clears out the cobwebs upstairs as well. And I would suffice what you just told me, Kelly, to say that the nest isn't empty, or the nest may be empty, excuse me, but the heart is still very full. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. The nest never goes away.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
And they always come back, and they're always still needing mom. So it's never really truly an empty nest, I guess.
I love that your daughter calls you 3 or 4 times a day on FaceTime. That's being the rock. That's what a mom is right there, because sometimes those are just because she wants to talk, but other times it's because life has gotten in the way and I need some advice, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Most recently, she was so proud of herself that she got a new Wii game system. So she had to call me, and we had to unbox the Wii together. And she's going to call me today after she gets home from school so I can see her playing the Wii. So,
oh, that's great. That's great.
But I get to celebrate the little things with them, and even if it's, FaceTime or whatever, empty nest is not always just empty.
Sure. It almost sounds like that little FaceTime relationship that you have with your daughter is like your own independent YouTube page for her. You just get to watch her unbox her things or cook her meals or whatever she's doing at that point in time. Yeah, you're right there.
We probably could be one of those influencers online doing our little YouTube show every day.
I bet.
My granddaughter, that's her daughter, every time she calls on FaceTime, I say, "Hi, Pumpkin," and she'll say, "Hi, Pumpkin." So that's what she has grown up to call me. I'm Mimi to the other grandbabies, but I'm Pumpkin to her. And we get looks in the store. And
I am a 41-year-old man that my mom still calls Buddy or bud every single time she sees me. And you know what? When she stops, that's when I'll notice. I don't notice it at all. So I love some pet names. I haven't called my wife anything but sweetheart and babe since we got married. And I know sometimes that's a little bit weird in public, but I don't care. Those are terms of endearment. That's what it means. That's how much it means to me. Your normal name is for everybody else. I've made this one up for you, and that's what we get to stick with. There's a special place in your heart for that, isn't there, Kelly?
Yep, and she will notice the first time you call her by her real name.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to do a kind of a quick hitter round here with you guys and go around the table and just let you guys each answer these quick questions. And these are all about kind of being a mom here. Andrea, I'm going to start with you. One word you think your kids would use to describe you as a mom.
I would say intuitive.
That's a good one.
They know that I typically have an intuition about something. Like, you see those reels where, like, the mom's on the way before the child even has a chance to call. That's what they say about me. Like, I always have a feeling about something even before it happens.
Yeah. Do you ever get the thing where you are thinking about something completely different? Maybe it's payroll, and all of a sudden one of your kids randomly pops into your head, and then you look down and the phone rings? Does that happen to you?
Yes, it does happen. It is a little freaky.
That's that mother intuition. Yeah, it is, right? It's weird because it's like there's something going on in that phone that the electricity it's kicking off synapses in my brain. I'll never be smart enough to understand it, but I do think it's kind of cool, because it happens to me from time to time, probably nowhere near as much as it happens to somebody with the intuition of a mom. But Andrea, I think that's awesome. Rachel, same one for you. One word you think your kid would use to describe you, and am I going to fun here? That's where I'm finding, because I'm hearing about these universal vacations, and I'm thinking it might just be an easy one. Fun.
I am a fun mom. I pride myself on being the fun mom. I mean, to a certain extent, obviously you still have to, be the parent there. But yeah, I think he would describe me as fun. We do all kinds of stuff together. We're always looking for new adventures to try.
Kelly, one word your kids would use to describe you as a mom.
I think I'm going to go with open.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. So you're that mom that they can say anything to without worrying about the repercussions.
And they absolutely will.
Sometimes to a fault, right, Kelly? Yeah, you can't redraw that line. Once that line's been erased and they feel comfortable with it, there's no going back, right?
It just gets worse. The older they get, it just gets worse.
Yep. And let me tell you from my own experience, because that's the line that my parents and I have as well. There is no line. Everything's on the table. It'll only keep getting worse as they get into their 30s and 40s, because that's when their problems just compound and get harder to solve. So I'm sure they're glad they have you there.
Yeah, I never want my kids to feel like they can't come and talk to me. So I've remained open to them, the good or the bad.
That's awesome. Next question I've got, and thank you all for that one. This one's a little bit more existential maybe, and it's going to be different for all of you because your kids are different ages, but one thing, Andrea, you hope your kids understand about you as a mom someday.
Yeah, I hope that they understand that everything that we did because we thought it was the best for them, and that, we had to make some tough decisions along the way, and it was always with their best interest at heart, and that we're not perfect. Certainly we made our mistakes along the way, but I just hope they know that we definitely tried our best.
I bet they do. Rachel, how about you? One thing you hope your kids understand someday.
That's actually exactly what I was thinking when you first asked the question. I was going to say, I hope he knows I tried my best.
Yeah.
It's hard to balance everything. And I try really hard to, devote my time and attention to him and give him what he needs while still, working on myself as well, and I'm nowhere near perfect, and I know that things are not perfect, life is not perfect, but I hope that he understands that everything that I did was trying to do what I thought was best at the time.
Well, just have him listen to this podcast episode when he turns 18. I'm sure you'll get to see your grown son cry, because I'll tell you, the emotions that this is bringing up in my chest right now, just hearing you all talk about it, Wow. I'm having some issues over here, but that's why I've got questions and you guys can talk. Kelly, same question for you. Something you hope your kids understand about you as a mom someday.
I think I got to go with Andrea and Rachel on this one too. And I think that's probably a universal answer for every mom out there. Um, just realizing that we tried our best. There's no mom manual out there. So you just have to go with what you've learned, what you know, and what your heart's telling you.
Well said. Well said. Andrea, your biggest fear as a mom. And this can be now or if it was earlier and you've been fortunate enough to dispel that fear.
I guess my biggest fear is, in which my son he knows this. I'm just afraid that he's going to get married to somebody someday and that maybe she won't love me. And I'll lose
That's a valid
and I'll
fear.
lose my son to her and her family, which, as long as he's happy, I would let go. I would let this happen, but I want to gain a daughter and not lose a son. So it's like one of my biggest fears as my kids are getting a little older and finding themselves in relationships and whatnot. So yeah, I just pray that, we can add somebody to the family and not lose Connor along the way.
I totally understand that. As the youngest boy in my family, the first woman that I thought I was gonna marry, there were some issues between her and my mom and my sister, and I will put it softly and leave it at that because we could do a whole podcast on that. Turned out it didn't end up that way, but I know that was something that my mom was scared of because I've seen it happen before. I have some relatives, I have some friends who they kind of just devote their whole life to their wife, and if their wife doesn't like their family, then that's it. There is really no coming back from it. So it's a very legitimate fear, Andrea. And I will say this about you. How could anyone not like you? I mean, come on. I've spent enough time talking to you now. That's crazy. There's no way anybody's out there not liking Andrea. I'll send the same one over to you, Rachel. We'll keep going in the same order. Biggest fear as a mom.
I would have to say my biggest fear as a mom is just worrying about whether or not what I do with him is going to ultimately end up screwing him up as an adult. My son is unique because he is very mature for his age. So I have to always think about, like, am I putting too much on him? Am I, pushing him past his limits of where he should be at his age? Because he's 11, but talking to him, you could talk to him like a grown adult, and expectations there can be a little challenging to kind of balance, think about he's still a kid, and I have to keep that in mind. So yeah, I think my biggest fear is making sure that I don't screw him up too much. I think we're all a little traumatized from our parents in one way or another, but hopefully I don't do too much of that to him.
I think it's unavoidable. Even if you're trying your best, I think that little bit of trauma that comes from being a kid just comes from being a kid. And
exactly.
Well said there, Rachel. Kelly, I'll go to you. Biggest fear as a mom.
Biggest fear as a mom is probably something happening to one of my kids and me not being there.
Okay. That's a very good one. And can you expand on that a little bit?
Oof. So my oldest daughter is having some medical issues. And my biggest fear is something happening and me not getting there fast enough.
I totally understand that. And is she a proximity away from you where that's a possibility, Kelly?
Currently I'm about an hour and a half from her, but she has plans to move to Louisiana. So that's quite the distance.
Yeah.
So as she's navigating these medical issues, that fear is very real for me.
I can tell. I can really tell. And I think it goes to show what I can hear in your voice right now, Kelly, is that this is very much a real fear and very much could come to fruition. And that's one of the reasons it's weighing so heavy on you. I'm sorry that your daughter's dealing with that. And I can't imagine what it must be like to feel that way each and every day. Do you keep in good touch with this daughter, though, as she's going through this? I assume it seems like you keep in really good touch with all your kids.
I do, yes, as much as I can. She's not a phone person. She's not a FaceTimer like the middle one is. But I do keep in contact with her, and I do, keep the grandkids every now and again, and I stay informed with the things that she's going through, just so I could kind of not be so fearful, but it's a very new thing, and it is a very emotional thing.
Oh, I can tell. I can 100% tell. And listen, the one thing I want to say is thank you for sharing that. I know it's not easy to share, and you don't have to share anything you don't want to on this podcast, but I know you're doing it for a reason, and that reason is your kids. And we can't thank you enough for being, open and honest. You said, "Hey, I'm the open mom here in the group," and you're not underselling that at all, Kelly, and we appreciate that here on this podcast because it's real. And that's exactly what we want to do. We want to expose the real side of being a mom, especially a working mom, especially a single mom. And, I thank you very much for bringing that up here today. I know it's tough, and I hope that it works out and she makes a full recovery through her medical issues.
I'm sure she will. At this point, we just continue to pray and keep each other informed and be there for each other. My other kids are with her as well. So that's just one of the bad parts of being a mom is
Yep.
having to go through the things that are hard.
Sure. I totally understand. Ladies, I've got one last quick fire question for you. Then we're going to wrap this up and let you get back to it. I've had you here for even longer than I thought I would today, but this is so good, and I can't let this last one go unasked. I would not be doing my job as a podcast host, and if you listen to the beginning of the episode, I already didn't do my job once because I forgot to ask Kelly what terminal she manages, so I won't fail again. Andrea, biggest point of pride as a mother?
Oh, I guess for me, it would just be I'm just so proud of who they are as young adults. And, they're both chasing their dreams and they're happy and life is going to come at them. And it has. And, and the way they've handled things and have just persevered, I'm just so, so proud of where they are right now. It's awesome.
That's so well said. That's I can't lie to you guys. This is exactly where I thought you were going to go with it, and I'm glad you did. Rachel, how about for you? Biggest source of pride as a mom?
I would say just my relationship with my son. I think we have a great relationship. He is honest with me. He is open with me. And, like you said, I enjoy being the fun mom. And I think that is evident, anytime he even goes to, play with his friends, he's got to include me. They're playing dodgeball and he's like, "Hey mom, you want to join my team?" So I think that is a source of pride for me in that we are so close and he thinks of me as his mom, but also as his friend.
That's so cool. I love it. Kelly, same thing to you. Biggest source of pride as a mom?
I agree with Andrea and Rachel, but I'm going to go to the funny side of this. I kept these kids alive for 18 years.
Amen.
And they're alive and they're doing their own thing and they are making their own relationships and having their own kids. And I kept them alive for 18 years. So
Well done.
we're good.
Yeah. Great work on your end. I'll honestly kind of feel like those high school diplomas that you hang on the wall is also a certificate for the moms of the world. You kept them alive. Great job. They're done.
Yep, we all deserve a trophy for just that. We kept them alive.
You do. Well, ladies, I can't thank you enough. This has been such a great episode. All I wanted to do was show as much love to the moms today as we could, and talking about the sacrifice, the love, the support, just the way that you feel your job as a mom applies to the world at large has been so cool to just sit here and get 3 different perspectives on it today. I've had so much fun. I want to give everybody the chance to do final thoughts. Now, Kelly, this is your first appearance, but Rachel and Andrea know our final thoughts segment is wide open for you. If you want to do a shout out to your kids and say hi to them, if you want to shout out anybody at the company, You can say anything you want in this segment, especially if we left something on the table that we didn't get to talk about today. Andrea, since you're a bit of a vet at this point in time, I'm going to start with you. First and foremost, thank you so much for joining us for our Mother's Day special today. Final thoughts from you before we let you get back to it.
Yeah, my final thoughts are obviously to wish both Rachel and Kelly happy Mother's Day. And then to all of our other employees that are moms, I wish them happy Mother's Day and happy Mother's Day to my mom. And then all the wives out there that are, some of them are moms, and the wives that are supporting their husbands, and then all of our moms that are drivers as well. I mean, that's not easy to do. I can't even imagine. So I just want to say happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.
Well said. Great time to do it right here on our Mother's Day special. Rachel Della Pasta, thank you for your time today. 2 weeks in a row we've had you here. We feel privileged. Final thoughts from you on this Mother's Day special.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day to all of the moms out there. Especially want to give a shout out to my mom. I know I had mentioned before that, you know, she's such a big help to me with my son, and I really do appreciate everything that she does, and she does step up and help quite a bit. So I really appreciate that. I appreciate Bulk Transit because I could not be a good mom without having a company who supports my family life while I'm working. So I really appreciate that. And I mean, shout out to all of the moms who are drivers. It always amazes me when I talk to these moms who, you know, occasionally I'll get a mom who's an OTR driver, and it's just like, how are you out on the road overnight and you're a mom and you're trying to balance all of that? And that's a lot. So shout out to all of the moms in the trucking industry.
Do you ever ask any of those OTR moms how their hairline's doing? Because I feel like they might be pulling it out every now and then out there on the road. Kelly Cordova, terminal manager out there at Piketon, making her first appearance today. You did awesome, Kelly. Thank you so much for the time. Final thoughts from you before we let you get back to managing that Piketon terminal.
I think final thoughts would just be, I agree with everything Rachel and Andrea has said. I have two amazing women on my driver team. So happy Mother's Day to them. My mom was my absolute hero, and I want to wish her a happy Mother's Day as well.
It's awesome.
Happy Mother's Day to your mom from every one of us here at Always Pneumatic, Never Static as well, Kelly. And we greatly appreciate you joining us today, and I'm sorry that it got a little bit emotional, but that's really, that shows how much being a mom really means to moms out there. And you illustrated it. Andrea, you illustrated it. Rachel, you illustrated it perfectly. I couldn't have asked for a better trio to come on here and do this episode with me today. Andrea, Rachel, Kelly, happy Mother's Day, not only from everybody here at Always Pneumatic, Never Static, but from Marcus. This one comes personally out to all three of you. Thank you so much for your time today. Please enjoy the time with your family this Mother's Day, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marcus.
Big thanks to Andrea, Rachel, and Kelly there. What a powerful, emotional, and just heartwarming episode that we've had for you here today on episode 13 of Always Pneumatic, Never Static. You know, we started this episode talking about a mom, Andrea's mom, who was helping build something behind the scenes, holding down the house, raising a family, making sure everything worked, even if nobody outside really saw it. And as this conversation went on, one thing that became pretty clear is that the story never really changed. It just looks a little bit different now. Whether it's Andrea carrying forward what her parents built, Rachel figuring it out as a single mom and making it work no matter what, or Kelly opening up about what it really means to give so much of yourself to your kids, the common thread is the same. Moms show up, even when it's hard, even when it's messy, even when they're not sure if they're getting it right. And maybe the most powerful thing we heard today is that none of them are asking for perfection. They just want their kids to know they tried their best. And if you really think about it, that might be the most honest, most human version of motherhood there is. So to every mom out there, whether you're at home, in the office, behind the wheel, or somewhere in between, happy Mother's Day from all of us here at Always Pneumatic, Never Static. Not just me, the guy that you hear from every day, but all the people behind the scenes, like our phenomenal producer, Jessica, our amazing audio editor, Mike, our fantastic web guy, Tyler, and so many more people, our graphic lady, Ari. There's so many people that come into this podcast to make it actually happen, and I want all you mothers out there at Bulk and Spur to know, every single one of us here behind the scenes is wishing you a very happy Mother's Day. And we thank you so much, not only for coming on and showing how powerful motherhood really is right here on Always Pneumatic, Never Static. We thank you for the privilege to be able to make these episodes. We could not do them without you. And as you saw today, I've told you before, I am the Steve Nash of this podcast. I am not the star. And today, we had some Caitlin Clark level stars in here doing their thing as moms, and I think that is so cool. I just can't thank Andrea, Rachel, and Kelly enough. Thank you for everything you carry, mothers of the world. Thank you for carrying the things that we don't always see. Thank you for carrying all the things that we do see. And thank you for being our moms. And to my mom, Ava, who I certainly hope is listening to this one, happy Mother's Day. Your gift is on the way if it's not already there. I love you. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Always Pneumatic, Never Static. Everyone that tuned in, we appreciate you greatly. If you're not a mom, maybe you're a dad, I promise you, we'll get to you in June, okay? Stay safe out there. We'll talk to you next week, 5 a.m. local time, for another episode of Always Pneumatic, Never Static.
And that's all she blows for today's episode of Always Pneumatic, Never Static, your number one and probably only pneumatic trucking podcast, brought to you by Bulk Transit. Thanks for rolling with us today. Till next time, stay safe, keep those lines clear, and keep it pumping.